So, this morning I want to explore with you how to allow emotions to flow rather than getting stuck in them. When I say allow emotions to flow, I mean that there's a way to feel your emotions, may they be difficult or wonderful. There's a way to feel them that actually allows them to flow, transform, develop, and change rather than becoming static, stagnant, and stuck. So, what causes emotions to get stuck is that there's actually an unconscious or many unconscious beliefs, ideas, convictions, assumptions that are going along with the emotional energy. So it's as if there's the actual emotion itself, let's say it's sadness, and then there's a belief or an identity or some kind of conviction that's also playing out simultaneously with the emotion. Generally, what happens is that we're unconscious of the belief or the conviction that we have while we're feeling that sadness, right? So people will allow themselves to experience a kind of sadness, but they'll kind of continue to loop inside it day after day, month after month, and sometimes year after year. And then feeling that sadness is seen as a really kind of negative experience because we remember, if it's happened for a long time, that every time we feel that sadness, it's almost like we get stuck. It's sticky. We can't get out of it. It brings back old memories, or we kind of get triggered and then we want to withdraw or check out, or we go to our addictions, we go to our other kind of habitual patterns to either dissociate, disconnect from our experience or the world. And so one of the ways that you can begin to play and explore these emotions that you feel like you're stuck in is to see, well, what it is that you're believing, what is it that you're assuming regarding that feeling. What are you assuming or believing about yourself because you have that feeling? What is it that you're kind of holding on to as you're experiencing whatever that feeling or sensation is? So this will begin to kind of show you some of the unconscious ideas and beliefs that you have about yourself or the emotion or whatever other content may be there. And just the act of revealing that to yourself, just the act of revealing that belief system, and then kind of holding it loosely and lightly and saying, well, is it really true? Is it really true whatever I'm believing about myself? Is it really true whatever I'm convinced about regarding this emotion? Right? Because sometimes we'll have, for example, sadness, and we'll hang with sadness for year after year, and there's simultaneously there's a kind of aversion to that sadness, or there's the sadness, and then we kind of believe, well, to be sad is not okay because it wasn't okay to be sad in our family, or it isn't okay to be sad in our culture, and so it's as if we're sad. But we're not really sad all the way. We're not really allowing ourselves to fully embody or express that sadness in a conscious way. And therefore, so having that emotion, then also having the resistance or the aversion to it, actually creates like a tug of war, push and pull, push and pull. And so because these forces are opposing and are unquestioned and many times unconscious, then it creates a kind of stuckness. So as I was describing, when you feel like you're stuck in an emotion, you can begin to look at and feel through what other energies are playing out in there, what other ideas or beliefs or assumptions or convictions do you have regarding the emotion or that are coming alongside the emotion, and then begin to open yourself in such a way as to allow a kind of receptivity. So how do you allow your emotions to flow? There's just a subtle kind of adjustment in our attitude that can really support emotions to just stream through us, almost like a streaming river. And that is a kind of listening and a kind of receptivity. So I want to describe a few elements of this receptivity or listening. 4 of them: not knowing, openness, willingness, and engagement. So to start with, when we're experiencing whatever it is that we're experiencing, if there's an element in us that is willing to see that we actually don't know the deeper truth about what's happening regarding this emotion, we don't know exactly what this emotion is. We may call it many names. We may say it's sadness. We may say it's anger, whatever it may be. But if we actually truly, deeply, somatically experience whatever sensation it is, it's much more complex, or it's much more full. It has many other nuances, right? So to begin to open to the possibility that I don't know, we don't know what this is. We know that there's some sort of sensation happening. We know that there's something moving in us. We know that it may even be difficult, but we don't really know what it is. Then, as this kind of sense of not knowing opens, the next part is allowing yourself, allowing your consciousness, allowing your mind, your heart, your belly to just open to whatever it is that you're experiencing, even if it's really difficult, even if it's really uncomfortable. So just opening, not knowing, and then opening. Opening our minds, opening our hearts. And this is not something that is forced. So if I tell you to open your mind or open your heart, it's not like it's an easy thing to do. So you have to just kind of feel into it. It's more about opening your attitude than it is even about opening your mind or your heart. You just create a kind of open attitude regarding your emotion, regarding your experience. Next is a kind of willingness. So the willingness is not a willfulness, right? So it's not a imposing of, I know, right? So if we would have started with, I know what needs to happen in my experience, or I know what the emotion is and I know where it needs to go, if we start with that, that already creates a lot of tension, turbulence, force, manipulation, right? Because we start out with, I know what's going on and let me fix it, which tends to be how a lot of people do inner work. But if we start with not knowing and we allow a kind of openness, then it's natural that there would be a willingness, right? A willingness to be guided, to be moved, to be shown, to see what's actually happening, right? So just feel into that sense of willingness, right? Not knowing, don't really know, openness, just open to what's here, open to what you sense, open to what you see, and then willingness. A willingness to be shown, a willingness to be guided, a willingness to explore, a willingness to lean in to whatever it is that you may discover. And lastly, an engagement, right? So a willingness to engage, a willingness to be fully immersed and curious about what it is you're finding out. And this engagement comes out of almost a sense of natural kind of care that you have regarding your experience, regarding life, regarding what's happening. So the engagement is a kind of allowing the guidance, allowing the energy around, allowing the moment to guide you, to show you, to move you where it would like. So these elements alone, not knowing, openness, willingness, and engagement, are a kind of receptivity, are a kind of listening. And so to be with our sensations and emotions in this way, in this kind of receptive and listening way, can really allow our emotions to flow, change, and transform, and therefore show us the deeper layers and undercurrents of our experience and of who and what we are.